cold cupboard, or even in the fridge if that's the only place you've got. But if you put them somewhere warm, they're going to sprout. If your potatoes sprouting, even if it's got big sprouts off, just knock them off. Once you've knocked the sprouts off, they're fine. Just use them. Okay, so here's my potatoes. I'm not adding any milk to this because I don't want them wet. You can do this with instant mashed potato, although I haven't seen instant mashed potato in the shops for ages, and it's one of those products I tend to use a lot when I'm working with my community groups, because if they're going to food bank, that's what's available, and you can make really tasty gnocchi and fish cakes with tinned fish and sweet corn, or if you haven't got any mashed potato, you could actually use some beans, like cannelli beans or any kind of white bean, and mash them, and then add your fish to it and some vegetables. So it's a really nice way of doing some fish cakes. So that's about 300 grams. And I want about 100 grams of flour. I'm just going to use plain flour. So half a mug of flour to our mash. Now, normally I would add an egg here, but what I'm going to do is going to show you a little trick, because if you haven't got any eggs, you want to get some moisture in there. And one of the most useful things I find for replacing egg in my cupboard is mayonnaise. 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I'm just going to get a nice firm dough. And what I am going to put in here though is a bit of flavour. We need a little bit of salt. I'm just going to put a little bit of butter in. Normally I put something soft in, to be honest, but there we go. So there we have. Got a nice dough, nice and smooth. So it's not sticky. And what I'm going to do is divide that into 4. So this should serve a couple of portions. Depends how much you like gnocchi. And all I'm going to do is roll it into like a sausage roll. Now, what else you can do with this, if you wanted to, you could roll it out a bit thinner, and we could make potato cakes. And that's really tasty. And we can add, these are plain, but we can add any flavour we want to this. Right, go that thing. They do swell up, so you can go quite thin. There we go. And all we're going to do now is chop them like that. To little pieces. I don't know, just get some kind of, make it rough. So you just kind of it just if you're going to put a sauce with it, then it'll pick up the sauce like that. Can you see the ridges? So just kind of, so that's the posh board. But if you haven't got a board, then you just basically trying to put some lines in. Gnocchi is falling down to the bottom of the pan. So you can see already the ones we put in at the start are already starting to come up. And I've put that in some salted water. I'm just turning it down a little bit. I want to make sure they're cooked, so just take about 3 minutes, something like that. You can freeze these. If you want to keep them for later, put them under the tap. It just stops them cooking. But we're going to put some soup over it. You could use some garlic butter. Serve that with that. Give that a nice coating. few little herbs on the top. There, doesn't that look pretty? So that's a really simple tomato based soup with some leftover potato and gnocchi. I'm going to talk about fish. So whether it's frozen fish or whether it's tin fish, we've got mackerel, tuna, we can make fish cakes with leftover potato. So I've got some really cheap fish. If I squeeze it, can you see all that water coming out? That's come out when you defrost it. So what I'm doing, I'm squeezing all the water out so we don't get soggy fish cakes. If you defrost it in the back, you'll see where you'll pour out all the water. There's quite a lot of water, but this makes really good fish cakes. And if you don't want to use potato, you could use sweet potato, you could use butternut squash. And the thing is with fish cakes, you can flavour them with anything. We're today going to use something from store, but just lemon juice and sweet chilli sauce. But you could use any of the paste, whether it's a little like a Balti paste, Indian paste, or go for a Thai paste, any kind of those little, or pesto, just anything like that. You can just add to the potato mix, and you'll just get a really nice flavour in your fish cakes. It's not plain. Mackerel goes really nice with like garam masala, cumin, coriander. Really tasty, really picks up the flavours nicely. So because it's a white fish, you could put any flavour, whether it's a delicate one, you could put tarragon in there, dill, anything really. Ratio of potato to fish, entirely up to you. I sort of tend to go kind of half and half. And if you don't want lumps of fish in, you can put it in a blender and just make it into a paste. Put some sweet corn in. I'm just going to stick a few of those in, nice colour. I'm going to add in some sweet chilli sauce. There's about a tablespoon or so in there. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of lemon juice in, just to cut it through. So now I've got my mix, I need to make up my little balls. Now you can make these as big or as small as you like. And we're just going to make little patties. To be honest, if you don't like fish, you could just use vegetables. Leftover vegetables, grated vegetables are a really good way of using all those sad veg at the bottom of the fridge. But if they don't go into soup, then grating them and making a slaw or putting them into these like little cakes, really good idea. What I'll say is try and make them the same size, so whatever size you make them, then they'll cook evenly, they'll cook at the same rate. Now, to be honest, if you wanted to, you could stop there, put a little bit of flour on and shallow fry them or bake them. But I want to show you how to flour, egg and bread them. But, hey, we haven't got an egg. So what we're going to use again is our trusty mayonnaise. And basically, if you haven't got an egg, you want something sticky. So you're going to dip it in the flour, then the egg replacement, and then breadcrumbs. So I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice just in here, just to slacken it off a bit. So can you see it's just a bit more runny, a bit more of an egg consistency now, isn't it? Just running. So dip it in the mayonnaise. You can say if you've got an egg, use it if you want to. Doesn't really matter. And then once these are cooked, you can freeze them. So freeze them on a baking tray, and then what you can do is put them in a bag. If you put them in the bag first, obviously they'll stick together. So you're best off put them on a tray if you can fit them in. And then you can cook them from frozen. Once, because this was a frozen product, and then we've defrosted it, we can't put it back in the freezer raw. But once it's cooked, you can. And that's the same with chicken. In the oven for about 20 minutes.